to do some video game YouTube. Thank you a lot.
Sorry, Brian, but hello, everyone.
Hey, let's fill everybody in. I got attacked by John, and my tag partner Carlos came in the run-in and hit him with a chair. So that's how we're starting.
Oh, welcome to the Wrestling Fans
You
Insight.
deserve it.
Oh, welcome to the Wrestling Fans Insight Sunday Takedown, where we apparently prematurely started talking before we
John's
did
used to
the
prematurely.
introduction. So sorry, folks, but welcome to the show today. I'm your host, John Hoppe, here along with the rest of my team. I got my brother William up there in the upper corner. How you doing, Will?
I'm here. A little worse for wear, but I'm here.
Yeah. And we also have little sassy gay bitch up in the other corner. Carlos, how you doing?
Yeah, I just want to say I love the fact that now that Will has his Bluetooth earbuds, he doesn't bother to come to your house anymore. I'm all for that. Chilling at home, relaxing.
Like, piss off. And it was
I don't blame him.
It was my bad too, because he showed up at the house at the normal time. I'm like, oh,
you're out of town? Aren't you out of town or something?
Well, I was briefly out of town but I came back today. So fortunately, Will didn't get the memo. We were starting late today, so that's
of course not. Because who would text their brother and let them know? Heaven forbid.
Well, I figured since he was in the team chat, he might have saw it. But
okay, because he's so active on X too, right?
Well, he's up to 70 users. I think.
Bad brother.
So, yeah, we also have in the lower right there, Bryan the Hype Ballard. How are you, friend?
It's good, guys. Good. Ready for Sunday's takedown here.
Yeah, and we also have the newest member of the Fans of Pro Wrestling and the Wrestling Fans Insight team, Stampede. How you doing?
Good. Busy week of wrestling, and thank you for saving the best introduction for last.
Well, I'm starting to like you more and more than that guy up in the top left corner.
Stampede. I felt like Stampede on Friday night. I was like watching 4 different wrestling organizations. Like channel my inner Stampede on Friday.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
And
it's good, like on a Friday night to be able to sit down and say, what do I want to watch? Like, there's so much available here. Do I want to watch SmackDown? Do I want to watch Rampage, MLW, Prestige?
All of it.
Yeah, just great times.
It actually kind of reminds me of my childhood years when we had almost everything back then. We had Glow, WWF, WCW,
AWA,
WCCW. I mean, good Lord, we had it all back then. And then, unfortunately, for the longest
reminiscent.
The WWE ice cream bars.
But of the territory days, right? There's always something going on somewhere, right? It was all kind of interesting, intertwined. It brings back now what's going on to those days for me. Anyway.
And now you fast forward to today, we have all sorts of means to be able to watch all this fantastic product out there. And the problem is just having the time now. But luckily we have.
You needed several memberships at a lot of video stores back then to do
it. Yeah. And may we say rest in peace to Redbox now. So
and Richard Simmons.
And Shelley Duvall.
And
The
then
latest
who else today? Someone else today too. Our girl was telling me.
Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, that was another one too. I thought.
Dr.
I know
Ruth.
she has Shannon Doherty. Oh, Dr. Ruth. Yeah, they always comes in threes.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a week for, for celebrities. So, yeah, may they all rest in peace. Our condolences to all of their families. So, but without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this week's wrestling. There was quite a bit to talk about. And I'm going to start it off with probably not something that was very, I think this was pretty much a given when it happened. Natalya resigns with the WWE. I was a little bummed because I was hoping with all the stuff going on with the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, I was hoping she was actually going to get in there, especially with the way Mercedes Moné used the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be. I would have loved to see Natalya come over and just kind of bitch slap her a little bit, but that's not going to be the case. And I don't know. For me, I'm a little underwhelmed with this re-signing because WWE really has not utilized Natalya much on screen. So I'm hoping either they're going to give her more screen time or find a way to develop the talent a little more. Carlos, what's your thoughts on this?
I pretty much share your thoughts. For me, I think honestly, I feel like they probably paid her a lot of money because they want to keep her husband in house because he's one of the biggest producers. He produced TJ produces all the women's matches, and so I feel like they pay her because they want to keep him happy, keep both of them happy. I'm like you. If I had a list of underutilized talents, like criminally underutilized, Natalya and Tamina are both on that list. I feel like and again, we all know I like all wrestling, but I feel like WWE doesn't deserve her allegiance, like her dedication to them, her loyalty, because she's been so misbooked for the amount of time she's been there, all the years she was there. Only being like I think a 2-time women's champion. And one of those was Diva, like when she very first got there. I'm really sad. I really wanted to see her go to AEW and just really get to see her actually wrestle and kind of come unleashed. I feel like there's nothing left for her to do in WWE. I don't think she's going to be utilized correctly. I mean, it bums me out. I would have liked to see her done what Bryan Danielson did and leaving for the health of the wrestling business. But I mean, at the end of the day, if she's happy, she's happy.
Let's go to Stampede.
This was a smart signing or re-signing. Natalya's 42. So her in-ring best days are not in front of her, they're behind her in that aspect. But what she can still bring to the table as far as working with the up-and-coming people there, getting them technically sound, because a lot of these women that are coming in, they've never wrestled anywhere, right? Like they need people like Natalya there for that, and with her and her husband, that's a good combination. Plus the people that they have coming in who have wrestled elsewhere who have to now learn that system. There's no better person to teach them that system than Natalya. So that's your Julias and your Stephanie Beckors and people like that. So it's a good, smart hire. Don't expect her to be main eventing anything. Those days are past.
William?
Yeah, well, I can't really say anything different than all of you have already said. I mean, obviously she is towards the tail end of the career, and the only problem that I would have with her with that re-signing is if she's not properly utilized whatsoever.
Bryan?
So at the end of the day, I know it's fun to always kind of think about what could be, what if. I mean, that's what we do, right? We love to just look at that and see what the fantasy matchups would be on the other side. At the end of the day, Natalya and the WWE have had a great relationship for a very long career. And I think she is treated well there behind the scenes. And I think she's treated and she's valuable to them because she helps with a lot of different things, is humble enough to work with the young up and comers. And sometimes when it just works, it works, and she's able to pay for her bills, and she's able to go to work with a company that she trusts isn't going out of business. So I think it's from Natalya making a life decision. I think it's pretty smart. But the fan in me wants to see that Mercedes Moné match and those other matches. But I mean, in reality, she made a good life decision.
All right. Yeah. Definitely a lot of mixed emotions from wrestling fans all around. Again, like Stampede mentioned, probably a smart signing by WWE and on her part. I mean, obviously WWE definitely not going out of business anytime soon. So probably pretty much almost guaranteed money there. But yeah, I definitely would have loved to seen her utilized elsewhere, try to even help elevate the divisions even more. So,
And I do think it's a positive because, like we talked about when they first got bought by Endeavor, like we were fearful that it was going to be like what they did with UFC. They weren't gonna pay all these older people, and they were going to just like kind of let their lineage and their history fall to the wayside. So that aspect of it, it's glad to see that they're not handling it like they did UFC. So I think that is a positive.
right. And we're going to go on and move on to the next topic I have on hand. Any of you who watched Collision last night, I thought it was a decent show. But one thing I'm kind of a little disappointed, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, or not Scissor Gang, Bang Bang Gang, stripped of the AEW Trios Championship due to the fact that Jay White has pretty much been sidelined with injury. Stampede, let's start with you on your thoughts on this.
So they had an opportunity here to freebird this, and they chose not to. So they obviously got a reason for not doing that. So you might see Bang Bang Gang regain those titles with Juice as the official winner, which springs Jay free. He's now not attached to those trios titles. That sends him off in a singles direction, which could get him in that feud with Christian. Because Christian, whether this injury is real or not, would be the person who took him out. But that's what they're doing. I'm fine with that. Could also lead to a three-way. Patriarchy, House of Black, Bang Bang Gang, trios match for the trios titles. Because Christian has heat with House of Black. So there's a few ways they could go with this. As to what they're doing, I don't know yet. This just happened last night.
William?
Honestly, with the whole entire issue with the trios titles, I kind of like Stampede. I really don't have that much of an opinion to it as long as they do something useful with it. Right now, I just don't have that much of an opinion as far as Collision goes. Like you said, it was an okay show. And the only thing that really had me going was Nyla Rose had me just absolutely laughing my ass off.
Yeah, before we go any further, we do have a couple of comments on our previous topic from Steven Chambers. WWE's killing it with the signings of Stephanie Vakir, Julia, Motor City Machine Guns, and re-signing Natalya. Did MCMG sign with WWE?
Nothing's been official. It's just rumors.
They have not yet. It's just rumors.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't ever recall seeing that official yet. So, and he's also saying Patriarchy will win those trios titles, building up the Patriarchy versus House of Black at All In.
Yeah, it's possible. There's lots of ways they can go with that. There's lots of different combinations that they could use. So yeah, it's not a dead in the water situation. They just kind of opened up more doors for it. Is what they did.
Right. And thank you for commenting, Stephen. Thank you for joining the show through our YouTube channel. And again, you can see us live on YouTube, Twitch, and the X app through me or Carlos's X accounts. Carlos, what's your thoughts on the stripping of the Bang Bang Gang there?
My biggest problem with it, I don't like it. because for a wrestling company that's so big on paying respect to legacy, to like wrestling's history and stuff like that. Like it would have been fun to just see them freebird the titles. You could have saw Jay White go off and do other things. And then my biggest thing too is that they originally did freebird the titles. They originally had Jay White. They originally, when Juice first came back, announced him as part of the Trios Championships. And then about 2 weeks later, they changed course, and so that AEW management had decided that they couldn't do that. So again, they did it once, changed it, went back to the different thing. And honestly, my biggest thing, especially after watching we'll talk about a little bit later, is watching Prestige on Friday and Evil Uno. Is like I'm kind of torn because I do like the fact that they use the trios to give the main eventers something to do. But at the same time, I just wish these titles were used to give the guys like Dark Order, who will probably never be tag champions, like giving these guys something to do, like letting those guys be trios champions and showing what they can do. So having all these main event caliber guys stuck in this is kind of a double-edged sword for me. I do like that they have something to do, but I just wish that these titles were being used to really let other people in the division cook, like your Butcher Blade and Skips, like your Dark Orders, your top flights and Action Andretti's. There's so many the reasons why we felt they needed these titles in the beginning. I wish those people were being given the chance to elevate this division.
Brian, do you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it from a different take. It's clever, and I'll get to the clever part here in a minute. If you don't have a short-term plan for any of these guys or the story, and you want to kick the can down the road a few weeks later, yeah, you can play this route and do the stripping of the titles thing, and that gets you out of it for a couple weeks at least. And you can't do that all the time. And that's why I think it's kind of a clever emergency break glass in case of emergency type thing. But once you've done it, obviously you can't be doing it every other month or every 3 months. So I think it might be a way to get them out of doing anything short term, gives them some chance to kind of reevaluate what they want to do, and then kind of see what they give us down the line. So, of course, I always kind of wait to kind of see what they do with it. But I do think it is a way to get out of a short-term booking situation and reintroduce it later after they put their brain on it.
All right, guys. Thank you for those interesting takes on that. We're going to move on to something that I thought was a little weird because I don't think it gelled very well. Last night we saw Sky Blue take on Harley Cameron, which kind of felt a little weird because it's in a way watching two heels go at it. But this one I've kind of criticized AEW because we have a lot of heel and face things that you can't determine who's what. And do you think where AEW doesn't really establish true heels or face, does this really what I guess the words I'm trying to say is, does this kind of confuse the hell out of you when trying to enjoy a good match? And let's start with Carlos on this.
It doesn't confuse me. I think the one thing it's like the one thing that's hard, I think I feel bad for faces because the fans want to cheer the heels a lot in AEW, but at the same time, the people that watch AEW are smart fans. It could confuse casual fans, and that's one thing maybe they got to look into if they want to attract casual fans. Sometimes it is good to give the heel and face dynamics, but I don't have a problem with this. I think they're both really good talents. I think Sky Blue has been, they both deserve to be on TV. I don't have an issue with that because AEW fans are smart enough to know, like, when they, we can appreciate a good heel versus heel match because, again, who's the more dirtiest player? Who's going to do different things to win? I don't have an issue with it. I just feel like it's hard when you do stuff like that. Though it's harder for the faces because, again, I feel like the fans want to cheer the heels in AEW, and I just don't think when you do, if you're gonna try to attract casual viewers, it does kind of confuses them a little bit because they've been so programmed to look for a good guy and bad guy. But for the fans that watch AEW, I don't really think it's an issue.
Right, and I think that's something AEW needs to really start hooking in more because when WWE brought Rock in and it got a lot of the casual fans' eyes back on the biggest event of the year, WrestleMania. it totally worked because people, associate The Rock as a pro wrestler.
You know,
And
it's like, yeah, go. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
What was the term Colin said? His weirdos, or what was that term he said? The sickos, right? It's the
Sickos.
sickos.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, but I just think they need to go for more casuals. Even like with the card, like watching Collision yesterday, I was pleasantly surprised because when I read the rundown, I wasn't like really looking forward to the show, but I was entertained by it. But I just think that they need to look more into putting on bigger matches on even a Saturday, because again, I want them to be around. I don't want them to lose any real estate. And for me, they just need to start. They got their hot diehards, but they just need to start trying to try to get those casual fans to tune in and watch the product more. Definitely.
Bryan?
Yeah, I think having a heel face situation nowadays, it's a modern take, right? We're going to cheer for who we want to cheer. We're a long time removed from the days of where it was very separated as far as Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik and, Lex Luger and Yokozuna, right? So where it was very clearly, oh, you got to cheer for this person and you don't have to cheer for this one. It's so modern. It's evolved over the years where sometimes we cheer for the anti-hero, right? And we're in that era where everybody's going to cheer, and on social media, they're going to kind of get behind and talk with each other about why they should like somebody. But at the end of the day, we do have split focuses, and that's not a bad thing. If anything, that's the culture of wrestling now.
William?
I'm a little bit with you on that one, John. I do think that they need to do a little bit better of a job to establish the lines, heel, face. I'll be honest, I don't mind watching the heel versus heel. I really, really am a solid fan of tweeners, but they could clean it up a little bit, just not go as extreme as WWE goes with it.
Yeah, let's go to Stampede.
So I'll agree with Carlos. The AEW fan base is a much more educated fan base as to what's going on. They will follow AEW. They will follow multiple places at the same time. A lot of it, right? So they don't need, that clear line and definition of face heel. There's a lot of gray area there. So some of it comes down to you have what I want. Like we'll go back to the Sky Sheeta thing that's coming up, right? In order for me, Sky Blue, to get to where I want to go through you. You're a 3-time world champion. Right? Heel face dynamic doesn't really play into that. It's just a means to an end. Right? So with that fan base, you never hear, you never see, I don't anyway, people asking, is this person a heel or face? You see it all the time in WWE. They literally list it on their website. Rhea Ripley is now listed as a face. They lay it right out for you. Okay, so you are now supposed to be cheering this person. Right? AEW is not going to do that. They're not that type of promotion. I have a question for everybody in the room, though. How would you describe a casual viewer?
I think somebody that is interested in it, but is not fully as invested in it.
Right. That's exactly it. So if you were tuning into an AEW program where they have their own roster and then they incorporate things from New Japan and now they're incorporating things from Stardom and they're incorporating things from CMLL, Rev Pro will be coming up because All In is on the go. So how is a casual viewer going to follow any of that anyway? If you're sitting down and you're only half paying attention to what's going on.
Yep. And
you can do that. You can do that on a Raw. You can do it on a SmackDown because they're self-contained entities for the most part, right? And they multiple replays, so you can be half paying attention and still not really miss anything. You can't do that on the AEW program. It doesn't work. You'll be lost in no time. So if they cater to that particular fan base, they're going to have to change a lot of what they do in order to do that, and you'll lose a lot of the main fan base if they do. So it's a slippery slope if they go that way.
I think there is a way to do it. And the other thing I want to say, and going back to the AEW fans, and because this is, I think when you look at both when you look at both Sky Blue and Harley Cameron, they're both people that the fans have come to respect. Like Sky Blue has really worked hard on her character, and the fans are behind her. The same as Harley Cameron. Like she's really grown as a character, and she surprised a lot of people what she could do in her in-ring skills. So I think for the AEW fans, they're just excited to see both of them on television, and if they're fighting each other, all the better.
Yeah, and that's a good analogy. Like, because I think I brought that up to you actually, Carlos. It's like Harley Cameron has really impressed me. I don't care what she is, heel, face, or whatever, right? But she just has a presence on the screen from the way she looks, from the way she talks, the way she presents herself, and now in the ring, like she's improved a lot more than I figured she ever could, right? So that fan base will realize that and gravitate towards that, regardless of what she is, like heel or face. So it's a fan base that will view and interpret and consume things differently than the other fan base.
But just to go off Stampede, me as a diehard, if they had one show that was to be a little bit more geared towards a casual fan, I would be okay with that because for the business side of AEW, if they're getting better ratings because of it, if the company's stronger, if they're getting better ticket sales than as a hardcore fan, I would be okay with them gearing a little bit more towards casual and finding a fine balance because I want them to strive and make money as a company. So I just think it's a fine balancing act.
Something I want to add into the original question that Stampede asked about what is a casual fan. I believe they fall into two main categories. The first is what I like to call the kid connect, which is the parents trying to connect with the kids that are watching it, right? And they're watching, they're seeing, but they're really kind of there with them experiencing something their son or daughter's into. And then the second is the casual, I call it the attitude leftover fan, which is the attitude. I'm going to use that as the attitude era example. My one friend, he falls into this. I get lots of texts from him every WrestleMania season, right? Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? I'm like, yeah, I'm watching. I see it all the time, right? But, he is like, ooh, The Rock's back. Or, hey, I checked out that AEW program you keep telling me about. And they got Edge, right? And that's those kind of names like Jericho and Edge are going to draw that casual fan in that's flipping the channels or maybe somebody tells them. And hopefully there's something they stay for. So I kind of wanted to add that. I got them in those two categories.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. It's the big shiny object. Ooh, look, a rock. They'll know the Rock, right? And it'll draw them. But to follow the storylines that are going on all around that, you would have to kind of pay attention.
Or just follow Stampede on X and he'll get you all caught up. So
If you're missing anything, I'll get you caught up.
And I will echo what Carlos said. This guy definitely he makes the time to put every effort into studying everything pro wrestling related. So he's pretty much the Alex Marvez of the IWC here.
Well, the fact that his top 25 lists are fluid and he wants to wait to put it out to like till he sees this week's programming, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I appreciate it.
I'm going to give him the name Stampede Savant.
I'll add that to my name on Twitter. I'll lose my blue mark for a couple of days.
Don't worry, you'll have it back in probably 48 hours. So,
and I'm sure me adding that will piss off certain people. So there's another plus. So there we go. Win-win.
So the next subject, I know before we went on air, we talked about throwing it in there on the closing thoughts and shout outs, but I decided before we go into the meat and potatoes for today's broadcast, this is something I think Carlos and Stampede can touch base a little more. I unfortunately didn't have enough time over the weekend, but I hope to have some time to watch it later today. Prestige had some pretty good stuff going on over the weekend. Why don't we start with Stampede on their event?
Just an absolutely excellent show all around. The presentation of it, even the announcers, right? very informative. Like, just they really knew their stuff. They weren't shy about mentioning this person did this in WWE and this person did in TNA, like all over the place, right? Like, they were really informative. The in-ring action, top notch, like just top notch stuff, and it was people from everywhere. Like Kylie Ray was on there, really good opening bout with Amira, right? Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, like these two guys have been, legends for 20 plus years, right? Really good technical match, start to finish. I think I said to Carlos, I don't think there was a punch thrown in the whole thing. Right? You want a little bit of fun, you had Danhausen on there. Shelton Benjamin, still killing it at almost 50. Like that match with Mike Santana, really well done. Six-way scramble match. Another really enjoyable match. Just top to bottom. Leo Rush on there. Athena, Nasa Slamovich, Roddy Strong, Timothy Thatcher. Right? Like these are names, if you're a wrestling fan, you would know, right? Just by looking at them. Alan Angels in the match with Evil Uno, right? Another really well done match. Prestige is another one that's now firmly on my radar. Of anytime they have a show on, I am going to be watching. I was just extremely impressed with this. So high marks, obviously, for me.
Carlos, did you have anything to add?
So there's two things I want to add to this, to anybody who listens to this if you're a fan of pro wrestling. There's two things that I want to say about this card. The one thing I want to encourage you about is if you don't think that pro wrestlers are rooting for each other, if you don't think that pro wrestlers don't get along, if you don't understand that you should being this toxicity in the IWC of being a mark for just one brand and hating everybody else or one other company's got a business, I encourage you to watch this show. And what I mean by that is the main event of the show was Alan Angels versus Evil Uno in a hardcore match. The undercard again featured guys like Mason Mansoor, Roderick Strong versus Timothy Thatcher, Athena versus Masha Slamovich. You had the Motor City Machine Guns fighting each other on the second match on the show. And what I mean by this, you had Santana versus Shelton Benjamin in the third match of the show. Is you could have a lot of guys that could be strong arming to be like, we deserve to be in the main event. We should be the main event of the show. I'm not going to be on the show unless I'm the top show. The thing that I love about this show is it really shows the camaraderie of the wrestlers itself. It's like they're there to just have a good time. They're there to help Prestige get over, to put some eyes on the product, to get these other guys that are themselves like an Alan Angels, getting them more eyes on him and what he can do. So I just really love seeing that the fraternity, the sisterhood and brotherhood of the pro wrestling business was really on display on this show. The other thing I want to encourage wrestling fans to do is, again, I'm not trying to, again, I love all pro wrestling, but you could have easily caught up on SmackDown and Collision and Rampage off the highlights. If you're somebody who only has a certain amount of, like, let's say you only have 2 hours to get to pro wrestling or 4 hours a week, I encourage you sometimes when you see a show like Prestige on YouTube to give your 2 or 3 hours that you can watch pro wrestling, give that week to them and support independent wrestling and watch a show like this, and then just catch up on SmackDown or Collision through the highlights. You're not going to miss anything, I promise you. So when you have a company that like this giving you this for free on YouTube, please take advantage of it and watch it and support these guys. It's well worth your time. That's all.
100%. Whatever Carlos said there, 100%. You got an A plus, Carlos. Yes.
Thank you.
Like that was a show that when you look at it, it's like they're doing this for the love of the business. That's exactly what it projected, right? That's yeah.
It made me proud to be a wrestling fan. Like this is exactly.
Like I'm glad I'm into this stuff as much as I am because of shows like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I'll echo it as I've said it before. Justin LaBar, anybody who knew him, he previously worked for WrestleZone and did Chair Shot reality show. The one thing he said that will always stick in my head, if you root for any of these promotions to fail, you are what's wrong with pro wrestling today. And it's very true. The one thing I will echo with Carlos is when it comes to highlights, one thing also is if you have services like Sling or Hulu or whatnot, you also got a good chunk of that stuff on demand too. I think the only downfall with AEW is I think you got to actually have the live or the big package with Sling or Hulu in order to get their video on demand. But other than that, yeah, there's a promotion out there and they got a broadcast going. You can always go back and watch the other stuff later. Go check out that stuff you haven't seen before because you're going to see a lot of talent you haven't seen before. And at some point, they are going to hit your screens when you least expect it. And you're going to be like, oh, who's this person? Man, they're good.
And not just that, you're actually getting to see these guys wrestle and getting to do what they can do. Like, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Like, a lot of these guys, like, especially in WWE, they're handcuffed by so much of what Vince wanted to do, or being able to go out there and do a 3-minute match and only having to do what they're told. And actually getting to see these guys actually cook and wrestle and like appreciate their backgrounds. It's just you get to see these guys in a whole new light, you know. And so, and again, that's why I say, just again, if you're someone who you only have a couple hours in your day. Like, don't be afraid of 1 week. Just catch the highlights and again, give these guys a chance to win you over, and not look at them as a less than, but just appreciate them for what it is. Just someone giving you something that you should feel special watching. It's like getting to see these guys just give in the true art of professional wrestling. Again, I'm just really proud to be a wrestling fan.
All right. Now we're going. Oh, sorry. Did you have something, Davey?
Oh, yeah, just a little quick thing. And for anybody out there that's listening that has any of those, if there are matches you're looking for or that you've heard of, search me out on Twitter or Twix or X or whatever that's called now. Message me. If I have it and if I can find it, I will get it to you. Right? So you can see these things. I have no problem doing that. Like, if you're really interested in, finding things out and expanding, I'll help you if you need it. So
he'll show those white six how to do a VHS game. I'll tell you.
Exactly, yeah.
I can show you.
And if you want some footage on the spooky ring girl, as long as you got a VCR, I'll send you a tape. So all good.
Do you still have the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win too?
Probably.
Oh, okay. I just wondered. So,
Black.
All righty. So,
I'm a Patriots fan. I have no such issues. So,
yeah, woo!
Oh boy. I doubt William or Brian had anything on Prestige. I'm assuming.
No, I'm going to defer to you guys on that. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the main event part of our episode today. For those of you following TNA, we're showing some TNA love today with their upcoming pay-per-view Slammiversary, which will be airing here on Saturday, July 20th. So, yes, it is coming up very fast. And I figure even though some of us don't follow it quite as extreme as others, I thought it would be cool to make some predictions anyway. So as I'm kind of changing some things around here, getting us ready. Let's go ahead and get it started off with the card that I have up to date so far. There may be some matches I may have missed, courtesy of Davey or Carlos, but I'm going to start it off with the TNA X Division Championship match. The champion, Mustafa Ali, will be defending against Speedball Mike Bailey. And why don't we go ahead and start with Davey on his thoughts for this match?
this match is going to very much deliver, and then some. Just two amazing talents going at it. But I think you might see a title change here. Mustafa's had a 142-day run with this.
Did you say 142?
Yeah, 142 days.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Time flies, right?
It does. It seems like he just won it yesterday.
Very successful reign so far. But I think they may switch it up, put them in chase mode a little bit here. Because, you can only win, not a huge roster, right? So, you can only run the same thing so much. So I think they might do a little switch here, put the belt on Bailey that no one would have an issue with, and then put him in chase mode. So I'm calling Mike Bailey win on this one.
All right. Let's go on with Carlos.
I just want to add to this really quick. Like the reason Stampede and I decided to do a space on Thursdays on X is because we wanted to show TNA some love, and so we usually started at 9 Eastern, and we're doing an hour into TNA because again they have a good product and it's a fun thing to watch. Even if you're a casual or if you're a diehard, you can just watch it. They're going to feed you enough stuff to play along with this. So I just want to encourage people, if you have a chance to watch this, there's sites you can find this on. Really support this company because again, it's been around for a long time, and again, it's something. There's a lot of good talent on this roster that deserves to have your fandom. And so again, we didn't get to talk about it like on Thursday because we were really kind of just bombarded with stuff about AEW, and that's fine. But there's a reason why we do our space on Thursdays. We want to show these guys in other places like OVW and stuff like that some love and your stardom and stuff like that. But with this said, the thing for me that I'm really kind of sad about is I wish Mike Bailey was more in the world title picture, but they do have a lot of big guys for this. But I'm gonna go with Mustafa Ali to retain this because as a fan, I don't want to see him lose this championship unless he's gonna be pushed into the main event spotlight. So for that reason, I hope they keep it on Mustafa Ali for right now.
William, do you have a pick for this one?
Yeah, no. As far as TNA goes, I really haven't been able to follow it, so I'd rather not speak about something I don't know anything about.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to Bryan then.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys my pick. I've got a little strategy to my picks, and if I'm correct, I will let you guys know how I did it next week. So my pick for this one will be Mike Bailey.
Ooh. Brian's smart.
Put the Ouija board away. It's not good.
Is this how you're communicating with Davey here, Brian?
I will reveal my secrets next week. So, guys.
Well, I mean, again, Davey, you should pick because like when Heather used to pick for when Heather you should pick like when Heather used to pick for NXT, she would win, not knowing the product. So again, like you're making a mistake by just not picking. But okay, I respect.
I'm just going to interject real quick here. Something Brian said earlier about people tuning in for, they would see Dwayne. It's like, oh, I know him, right? Or that's Edge, right? Same thing. If they tune into this show, they're going to see names that they recognize. Like if they were just even casuals of WWE, right? They're going to recognize Mustafa Ali, right? So that might draw them in enough to look at everybody else that's on this card and see. If they watch the Rumble, they'll recognize Jordan Grace.
The Hardy Boys.
Right. So anybody listening, tune in because you're going to see other things on this card that you are going to like. Right? And that's how you hopefully build a little bit more, right? So that was a good point Brian made before, but it applies here too.
Tits and ass, TNA.
Leave it at Carlos to throw it out already. So I'm going to throw my pick in there only because, I have watched him many times on TV, and recently, as Carlos will say, I'll be throwing my flex in there. We got the very spoiled privilege of seeing Speedball Mike Bailey on the Chris Jericho cruise. He actually had a match with Michael Oku for whoever won that match got the shot at the Oceanic Championship later on, actually the last day of the cruise. But yeah, I'm going with Speedball Mike Bailey. I would love to see him get a championship here. Going on to the next match, I have the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship. The champions Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards defending against Spitfires Danny Luna and Jody Threat. Carlos, Who are you picking?
The two of the three tag teams they have, women's tag titles are for. I'm gonna go for the champions to retain.
All right. And Brian, before we go to Davey, let's get your strategy now on this one.
Yep. Champions to retain as well.
All right. Way to keep it short and sweet. Davey?
Champions to retain as well. And Michael Oku won that match on the Jericho Cruise.
Yes, he did. He actually defeated Matt Cardona for that championship. It was actually a pretty good match too. I think this is going to be a clean sweep. I'm going with the champions to retain. It's really hard to bet against them too. Let's go on to the next match. This one's going to be an interesting one. For the TNA Digital Media Championship and International Heavyweight Championship, the champion AJ Francis will be taking on PCO. Brian?
Yep. My pick will be PCO.
Interesting. Carlos?
I'm gonna go with AJ Francis. Again, listen to him talk. I forget where I heard him on an interview, but again, he's killing it on the independent scene. Like he was really just brought in for a 1 or 2 time appearance, and they kept him on. I think he's doing great work. PCO's his time as champion, I feel, should have come and gone. I think he's a great addition to somebody who was a draw for just for again, the fans there love him. I think he brings entertainment value, but I hope they keep it on AJ Francis. So I'm gonna go with the champion to retain.
All right. Davey?
Yeah, AJ. It would make sense. Like he's getting that title everywhere. He's getting lots of visibility. He's doing a great job with it. Like better than I ever thought. And PCO, the guy's in his mid to late 50s now, and I'm pretty much sure everybody could agree he's kind of gimmicky, right?
Kinda.
Kinda.
He's basically Boris Karloff reincarnated, but he does an excellent job with the character. I just don't think putting the title on him would make any sense right now. And to go back to the tag team match there, Danny Luna is the Rev Pro champion too, right? So she probably has other things to do, which is why I went with that particular thing. So she has a match coming up at that show as yet to be determined opponent.
Hey, you guys, just really quick. I'm probably gonna have to go radio silent after this, so I'll leave my comments in the chat and you can say them out.
All right. Sounds good. I'm going with AJ Francis retaining this. Just like Davey said, I think PCO has just been too gimmicky. His last thing I remember him being a champion was the Ring of Honor World Champion, being the oldest person to ever hold that championship. I just don't see him really having any more serious title runs.
Yeah. I think he could hold that honor with any championship he would hold from here on out.
Yeah.
The oldest to hold this one is PCO.
So, I'm definitely going with AJ Francis. So, we're going to head into the TNA Knockouts Championship. Jordan Grace, the champion, defeating Ash by Elegance. Ash by Elegance has been making some waves outside.
She's defending against Ash. She hasn't defeated her yet, John. You know something we don't know?
That's what I said, dipshit.
No, you said defeating. You said defeating her. Ash
No, I said defending. Maybe you should listen.
Sorry. My bad. Fuck you.
Yeah, maybe you should actually just settle down there, be a good monkey for a change, and listen. But Jordan Grace defending against Ash by Elegance. Ash has been making some waves outside the WWE since departing, and she's done really well for herself. I don't know. I'm just a big Jordan Grace fan, and I definitely don't want to see that championship off of her. But I could see a change happening here, so I'm going to go with Ash by Elegance for my pick. Davey?
Oh, Jordan. Ash has come a long way since her time in WWE and NXT, but they've clearly defined a character for her, and they're putting time and effort into it, and it suits her what she's doing. Suits the character matches the person, right? That's why it's working. But with TNA now buddying up with WWE and Jordan most likely going there come the end of this year, I don't see Jordan losing that title match.
And I don't know if he's able to talk since he tried to interrupt me, the little butthead. Carlos decided to go with Ash by Elegance as well on this. Brian, your pick?
Yep, per the strategy, it will be Jordan Grace.
Ooh, split decision with the team here. Cool. Well, here's one that I don't think will be a very split, and this, assuming this is for sure going to be the main event for the TNA World Championship. The champion Moose will be defending in a 6-man elimination match, so this will get really interesting here. Moose will be defending against Josh Alexander, Steve Macklin, Nick Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian, and Joe Hendry. Why don't we start with you on this, Davey?
I think we're getting another title change here. I don't think it's the guy that I think it should be. I think it's going to be Joe Hendry instead. Same thing, due to the association with TNA. If Joe's going to be appearing on that show a little bit more, when they call his name, he'll be showing up with a title now.
Brian?
So I think Joe Hendry wins this.
Okay. And are you going to wave your hands from side to side?
Who, me? No.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I don't do that shit.
Come on, Davey. Where the hell's the fun?
I like Joe, and he found a way to get himself way over. All the props to him, man. Like mad respect for him. In ring, he's not great. But he's not bad either. He's just kind of middle of the road, right? But he's way over everywhere he's at. So I have no problem with Joe Hendry. I personally, with what I would do there, I would have put it on Nemeth. So.
And he also wrestled for, was it ICW Insane Championship Wrestling?
Ooh,
Is
Joe
that?
Hendry?
I want to say he did. I can't remember.
ICW? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think he
Back
did
in
for
2019, 2018, 17, 16, 15, 14, and 13. So that's where he started at. So he was in and out of there. He's wrestled a lot of different places, but he was there quite a bit right up till 2019, but he hasn't been back since.
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting if he made one more appearance there. Still kind of waiting on in fact, it just popped up. Carlos says, I hope they don't put it on Joe. Don't need TNA champion jobbing on NXT. Give it to Nick Nemeth and let him champion the brand. So Carlos is going with the former Dolph Ziggler. And I kind of understand his statement on that one. I thought it was I so far I'm not liking the partnership because I feel like they should give TNA guys a little more of the rub too. But for my pick, I think it would make sense to put it on Joe Hendry, especially with him going between brands. So that's going to end up being my pick. Brian?
Per the strategy, it is going to not be Nick Nemeth, not be Josh Alexander. I'm going with Moose for the pick.
Oh, you're going for the championship retain, huh?
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, this will definitely be interesting to see how we all stack up, and we'll bring up the results next week. Carlos kind of kicked our trash over last weekend. I think, in fact, yeah, I got the results. I'll go ahead and give it to us. William ended up 5 out of 11. Brian, you were 5 for 11. Davey and I tied at 7 out of 11, and Carlos whooped us all 9 out of 11. So
Nice job.
Yeah, he killed it. He picked a nice picture in our group chat there on X, which ended up being Logan Paul. Interesting choice there. So, but yeah, I think TNA's got a good card coming up. I think it'll be very entertaining. And again, if you haven't watched TNA, courtesy through the interaction with NXT, definitely go check it out there, folks. They never seem to have any kind of disappointing pay-per-views ever.
Their pay-per-views always deliver.
Right.
Always.
I just think a lot of people underappreciate what those guys do. So definitely go check them out if you can. We're going to go ahead and move into our closing thoughts for the week. And I don't know if he's probably not going to be able to talk, but Bryan, do you have any closing thoughts or shout outs before we wrap up this episode?
No, just thank you everybody for interacting throughout the week. And you guys are TNA fans, check out our show here next week where I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit, but I will let you know if the strategy worked or did not work and what the strategy was. So thank you guys.
Will, did you have any thoughts?
I have nothing.
All right. Davey, you want to give any closing thoughts and shout outs?
Oh, I have a thought. Or just a quick topic. Stephanie McMahon made some news this week, signing with WWE. I have no issue with her signing with WWE whatsoever. She is an amazing talent, like one of the best women wrestlers in the business, regardless of promotion. That being said, how she went about it at the end of it, I did not care for. You don't bail on bookings. That's just... And people that are comparing this to the Naomi and Sasha at the time situation, they're not the same situation. If you're going to do a comparable to this, think back to around November and December. Will Ospreay is your comparable. Will Ospreay was allowed by New Japan Pro Wrestling to go negotiate. He negotiated with WWE and AEW. He went with AEW. Will had bookings in Rev Pro, New Japan, and TNA. He made it a point to make sure he did those. Stephanie didn't. So I do take issue with that. That should not have happened. Like, people were expecting her to be at those shows, but as a positive follow to all this, congratulations to Willow Nightingale.
Oh, yes.
Last night became CMLL Women's World Champion. So they sent her there, down to that show, to do that match. And she won that match. So good on her. Like, all the props. Since 2003, the accolades that woman has got, like, go very under the radar. If you go back and look what she's done over that time frame, she's done a lot. Main eventing pay-per-views, IWGP Strong Women's Champions, TBS Champions, CMLL Women's World Champion, Owen Hart Cup winner, Owen Hart finalist. That's a lot. Nobody would have thought that of Willow when she first popped on the scene, myself included. Extremely impressed with her.
All right. Carlos sent in our private chat here. For people saying that TNA is getting short end of the stick in partnership, look who is in the TNA women's title match. Someone who was a lower card talent in WWE. TNA appreciates and pushes all their talent. And can't say he's wrong.
No, he's bang on with that. Like, when they got her there, they looked, it's like, okay, what do you bring to the table, and how can we incorporate that into your character? And that's why I said it worked, because the character matches the person, right? They did the same when Naomi went there and turned into Trinity. You look at how Trinity was portrayed in that promotion, like, top notch, right? They made a huge deal out of her, and deservedly so. Like, Trinity deserved that, right? They do. Like, if you go there, you're getting treated well and you're being presented well. And that goes through the men's division too, right? Mustafa Ali, another one, right? You know,
Correct.
Nick Nemeth too, right? Like Nick Nemeth, you know, when he left, or I don't know, well, he didn't leave. It's kind of asked to, but you know, big deal in TNA, right? They made a big deal out of him in New Japan. You know, when he was over there and he did his little stint and he had the global title. So, you know, they respect the industry and they respect the wrestlers in it. It shows, you know, just in how they present them and stuff. So I've always been very impressed with TNA for that. And they continue to do it, which is good.
All right. As we're wrapping it up, I'm going to go ahead and give some shout outs out there to a few of our podcasting friends, Jim over the Fan in the Van, Two Dudes Sports News, the Steel and Teal Talk, Brutally Honest Sports, Nate's Daily Wager. If you ever plan to go to Vegas for vacation or a quick business trip, go check out Visit Vegas Places with Coyle. He does a great job interviewing all the local businesses there in Las Vegas. Check out our friends there. Today We Laughed and Learned, Chris and Deb. They do some pretty good episodes on things you learn, but also laugh about them as well. Also want to give a huge shout out to Ted the Hillbilly Hill, who does TED Takes. Go check out his YouTube channel as he does some great video content. Be sure to go check out Ghost to Elite, All Elite. He does a great job discussing some of his takes on AEW. Outside of that, thank you to everybody who's tuned in to our YouTube, Twitch, and X accounts, checking out this live video. I will have this uploaded later to our YouTube channel as well as the audio onto our streaming platforms. Definitely go check us out on the big platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, and more. Carlos announced that we'll be doing a space tomorrow at 11:05 Eastern and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm guessing this is going to be his Raw reaction tomorrow night, and then covering more of TNA and AEW for the Thursday night show. So be sure to check out Carlos over at C to the LOS 77 and check out his nonprofit at Conquer the No. Be sure to check out our other colleague who's not been able to show lately, but she still tries to get some interaction going on the X, Heather at Bama Girl _4_EVA. Brian, you want to give your X handle?
Yeah, at the Bryan Adkins.
William?
At William Hoppe 8.
And Stampede?
At DAVID ROVER 7174.
And you
quick shout out to Tommy Billington too. We kind of missed that on the Collision show last night, but that match he had with Takeshita, he reminds me a lot of Dynamite with the way he moves, the way he carries himself. So watch out for him. I think he got a bright future.
All right, and also check me out at wfincitepod, and also we do have a group chat in the X on the X app. If you ever want to join, talk about nothing but wrestling, just be sure to hit any of us up there. That the X handles that you see, probably everyone except William because he's not quite as active as we are. But be sure to give us a holler if you want to join the chat. Without any further ado, stay safe, everyone. Have a great week of wrestling, and we'll catch you here on Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night as well. Take care, everybody.